is just after sunrise on the 1st of October. Now, this will be my first chance to get back at the big girl since, I guess, the beginning of September. The schedule just hasn't allowed me to get out, and I thought for sure I'm going to have to let her go. Like, I'm not going to get a chance to get her. And yeah, after work yesterday afternoon, I popped down with Goldie, and we were looking around, and she's still in here. She's still in here. She's still feeding, still grubbing around with all these other, kind of mid-double to high-double fish that we can see. And I know there's a couple of, in that low 20 range. They're all still here. However, temperatures, halfway through the week were 40 degrees Celsius. By Thursday, it has been plummeting, and this morning, 5 degrees when I got up this morning at 5 a.m. So the temperatures have been dropping. I'm sure the water temperature is dropping, and the water level is dropping. It's 6 to 8 inches lower than it was yesterday, and since we started this campaign after this fish, it's probably close to 3 feet lower than it was before, like when we started. So, conditions keep changing and keep getting trickier and keep getting almost against me so that she can see me sooner. She's hearing me sooner. So tactics have to change. When we first made some of the adjustments to just using one piece of maize on the hook early on, excuse me, that made a difference. 3 fish, bang, 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 just like that in one session. Then after that, got a little bit slower, but I hooked her. She took that one kernel, I hooked her, I fought her, I lost her. So, because we left her for so long, we had to kind of think of what the tactic would be. So we came down with a pail of maize yesterday thinking we're just going to just load it in and just let her have a feast with all the others, get them all competitively feeding. And we did just that. We loaded it in this bay, we loaded it on the other side of the island, and we're like, okay, great. What we didn't notice until after we had put in all that bait was just how much they'd been digging in the silt, in the shallows, a little bit up higher than they normally would feed. So I'm thinking that they've, not having bait going in for a few weeks, they've really gone after the naturals. So I was really worried, having put in all of that maize, with a little bit of the corn, the maize, whatever else we had mixed in there. 2 fish right behind me, right there. I was worried that, we might have overfed them. Lower water, colder temperatures. It might spook them. One's about 10, and one maybe just underneath. They're just swimming on the far side now. So I took a different approach. I'm going to try and mimic something natural first, just to see if this triggers that first instinct bite. So I've tied up, not really stone flies, but kind of a mix of like soft hackle fly and stone fly. And I'll get a close-up shot of it for you before I cast it out and probably loosen it in a tree. But my focus this morning was just to tie a couple of small flies. I did one floating beetle with some nice soft black hackle. One is just it's just a thick ball of dubbing with some crystal flash around it and a few pheasant hackles sticking. A really ugly fly, but it's tied upside down with a little bit of lead wire under the shank of the hook, and a little bit of kind of raffia for wing casing. Just kind of going back to my trout fishing and fly fishing days, that I don't do so much of anymore. Sometimes the ugliest flies that are built for being tough, not so much looks, have caught me some of the best fish. So I'm going with the prettiest one that I tied, and it really does just look like a beetle or a stone fly with a few extra bits of flash and a little bit of extra marabou in there. But I think, there's one feeding right there. I think this is what's going to do it. It may not get her, but it's going to get me a fish, I think. So I'm going to start with this tactic. I'm going to go with the natural tactic. This has a little bit of lead wire in it as well. I'm still going to put a shot just up by my swivel. Now, not wanting to have the same mistake as last time when I lost her, I didn't go with the 8-pound fluorocarbon. I've actually got a piece of 15-pound green. Yeah, this one's Berkeley Trilene, big game. What I had left over in my muskie box, actually. So, 18-pound DPF mainline, small swivel, 15-pound test Trilene big game, green, and then a natural little fly. Hopefully that will trigger the bite. That's a bigger one. So they're cycling in here, so I'm just waiting to see the big girl yet. We haven't looked for her yet this morning. We just got in, got set up. They have completely cleared out all the maize that we put out. And you can tell, if you can see that behind me, the water levels dropped so much that their backs are actually sticking out of the water now. That's a solid fish. So, if this doesn't work, I'm going to give this probably a half hour to an hour. If this doesn't work, I'm going to switch over to sweet corn and try and go with the competitive nature that we hopefully built up through the day yesterday and last night by leveling all that bait in there. So I'm going to make sure that this is all ready, the net's put together, the mat is ready, the sling and the scale are ready. Probably my last chance, but we're going to have a go at it. I'm going to get this big girl. She's feeding so much. It's one of those mid-doubles. All the silkweed and everything that was on the bottom there is just gone that was there yesterday. I'm going to put some split shot on here, then I'm going to walk around and see if I can spot her first. If I can put this in front of her first, then we have the best chance, I think. And cut. Okay, so some events have unfolded, we'll say. Since that first take earlier, I haven't had a touch. A couple have nosed up to it, but they've shied away. And right now, I'm happy to say that the water levels has risen. It's come up about 6 inches. So the fish are actually starting to be able to move back and forth around the other side of the island. What I'm hoping for is that they don't get into the spillway behind the island that actually goes down into the open spot until after we get the big girl. Right now, the largest group of the fish that's in here is still down to my right. And they're just circling around, feeding in the muck. So what I've done is I've got some sweet corn in the main channel. There's 2 channels that come up. It's kind of like a fort. One comes straight up in front of us where they were when we got here. The other one goes directly around the island. So I've got some sweet corn scattered across that channel and my line in an intercept point in the bottom of the channel, so that if they come in a group, one of them might pick that up on the way around. Right now we're just kind of waiting for them to come up and make that journey around to the other side, so that we have that opportunity. I'm a little bit frightened to cast at them because they're just so spooky. You know, with the water level having been down, their confidence level is just gone. they'll come up within about 15 feet, 20 feet of my bait, and then cycle back down and feed in the silt again. So my game plan, I think the stonefly idea is good, but I think it would have been better if the water levels were higher. I think it would have been more practical when they're actually feeding out in the shallow silt up here, where there's more weed, more rock, more chance of invertebrates and things like that. So I'm going to see, if they come up in the next 10 or 15 minutes and go through that channel and I get my chance, great. If not, if it looks like they're going to stay down there, I'm going to switch tactics a bit. I've got some Raven octopus hooks here. I've said countless times it's my favorite light wire hook, and it's very much like a little choddy. And I've got some rubber corn. So I think what I'm going to do within the next 15-20 minutes is I'm going to take off that stonefly. I'm going to put on the Raven hook, one piece of rubber corn in front of one or two pieces of sweet corn, kind of pushed up. The rubber piece I might push right up over the eye of the hook to hide the knot and create kind of almost like a corner-liner rig, but it's not as rigid with this really supple rubber stuff. Right there. So that way, if by chance the sweet corn falls off, at least I have the visual of the rubber corn. The other thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get a little cup or something out of the van, and I'm actually going to take the sweet corn juice out of the one can that I opened, and I'm going to soak all this rubber corn in it while I'm waiting and debating. They're moving up closer to the channel now. I think they're going to make a run through. So that's the game plan. They're literally just where this channel comes through. There's a slight hump of silt, and then it drops back down maybe another 8 inches, so they've got that little bit of deeper water. So you can see where the fizzing's going on. There's 3 fish there for sure, and I know of at least 5 others that are back in behind it. The important thing is that they're feeding, and they're a little bit more confident now that everything is settled down. Some of the fish have gone to the other side, and I've not been casting at them. Feel so much better that the water levels came up. I felt a little bit uncomfortable, fishing for them in such a confined space, but I knew that if I hook one in that confined space, I'm more likely to get it in the net fast, especially if it's the big girl. So we'll just keep trying. They're getting closer and closer. They're actually just at the tail end of some of the sweet corn that I've thrown out. And it looks like they're starting to pick it up and dig in the silt a bit. So with the amount of bait that we leveled in here yesterday and what's in there now, they're moving up closer. As much as it pains me to not be active and aggressive, I think the sit and wait tactic is what's going to do it. Right now, as much as I want the big girl, I just want to fish. I need one fish just to calm my nerves and help me collect my thoughts. See them just staying on the other side of that hump from my hook bait, and they're heading over by that rock. They'll circle back around and come around, and each time they come around, they come a little bit closer. I can see your smile go over here. I want to cast at them. I want to just... I should have brought the fly rod. That's what I should have done. Fly rod and a big ball of pack bait. What do you think? I don't know how well my back cast would be with that. There's some nice fish in that group. They're coming up. They're going to go right around my bait. Look at that. They're coming up around that stick. Smart. Instead of coming up the fork where I've set the trap, that looks like they're literally coming up around my hook bait. They waited for that water to come up enough to go right along the rock. That little guy knows my bait. Did you see that? If my fat fingers can tie it. One thing's for sure, you know you're getting old if, when you don't wear glasses, you suddenly need them to tie a knot, or when you do wear glasses, you have to take them down to tie a knot. Come around to the other side where we first watched them this morning. We noticed that with the water level rising, the fish had come around to us. On this side, they left us over there, they come around here, the big girl included. So rather than bait up here, single hook bait out, just a little bit of sweet corn on the hook. Watch the three others on the other side of the bank there. And my line just went completely slack. Good fish. I didn't see which one it was because they've got it so clouded up over here. So I don't know which one I had hooked, but I sure hope it wasn't the big girl and I lost her again. It was a solid hook hold too. Like that fish was really, really strong. Like good, felt like a good hold. This is my third bite today. First proper hookup. I'm going to continue with this tactic. No sweet corn, no bait out there, just a single hook bait, kind of in the main path where they go. Because even if I've spooked them to the other side, they always come back here and they always feed in here. The pursuit of this fish is just driving me mental, man. I never should have just said, oh hey, There's one fish. Let's target it. It's a stupid idea. Still got the rubber corn on there. I had complete control over that fish. It wasn't taking any line more than, you know, a couple feet. It was staying right in this bay. Had it. I hope I didn't hook her. I actually hope I didn't hook her. If I did and she stung, then my chances for today are gone. Total drop back too, so that fish was just digging in that spot. Digging and digging. Got a hold of it. Just sat there with it. Might look a little bit odd here, but I'm going to keep my rod tip high and keep the majority of the line off the water, because I noticed that they're bumping into the line a lot when I have it laying down and running along the bottom. And I think that they're getting wise to, you know, as soon as they feel a line, they know that something's wrong. That time I kept the tip up higher, and yeah, like there was no chance for them to spook. They could have come in around from any direction. I only got that much line actually in the water to my split shot. The day that I discovered these fish and the big girl was the day that you were supposed to join me. We were supposed to go down to the main part, and we were supposed to film down there together, stalking, and you stayed in bed, and I had to come down here by myself. So all of this is your fault, Goldie. You didn't want to get out of your warm little bed, and you wanted to sleep. The whole thing is your fault. Well, it's not the big girl, but I did just see a big fish jump into the spot, and then this line went off. Now, I totally attribute this catch to a specific change in tactics. You know, I missed several bites, and we changed things up, and within less than 10 minutes, finally got a fish. Let's get it up on the mat, we'll get a look at it, and let the swim settle for a bit. There we go. Big coarse scale, sores on the belly from rubbing on the rocks on the bottom. Massive tail. Just a really strong fish, and I'm so glad we finally got one. After so many missed takes and lost fish, a couple of blank sessions early on. What a fish. It's not the big girl, but they're coming in quite regularly for us. And I'm getting pretty consistent pickups. We did change tactics to make sure that the next pickup would be a hookup, and it worked. We'll go over that in a little bit. What a fish. So as I mentioned, we did a tactical change here. The stalking techniques, the light wire hook, the tiny split shots, they're getting the pickups, but we're not turning them into hookups. And since we've kind of decided to stay stationary in the bay where they keep coming in, you know, it's risky because if I do hook the big girl, she can get out and get around the bend. And unlike the other side, I'm stuck here. I won't be able to run up the other side and get around it. The only thing I really could do would be to jump in and, you know, waist deep in the mud straight across to try and get to her. Because I'm using heavier tactics, I'm kind of hoping that if we hook a fish in here, I can steer it back this way very quickly, much like I did that fish. But since the light tactics aren't working, I don't have my regular gear with me. I don't have my box of my bag of inline leads. I don't have, you know, my hook link material. I don't have all that stuff with me. I'm bare bones, just a few hooks, some split shot, and a couple of little bell sinkers. And that's what I did. A snap swivel. So my main line's tied to the swivel end of the snap swivel, and my short hook link is tied to the part of the snap swivel that you would clip onto your lures or things like that. And also hanging from that is the bell sinker. This is going to give me the proper bolt effect that obviously I needed to get that hook up. The nice thing is that I can undo that snap swivel and change it to a smaller or larger lead if I need one. And down to a size 6 Monster Carp Tackle Universal Perfection hook. It's knotless knotted on there, so I can get that aggressive curve that you can see there. Very aggressive curve from the way the stiff line's coming out of the eye of that hook. But I've trimmed the hair off, so there's no hair. I'm just putting sweet corn on the hook. An aggressive turn with the way that knot's tied. Much shorter hook link that I've been using, you know, the entire time I've fished this spot. I've used longer hook links, and the bolt effect did it literally 10 minutes after putting it on. So this is the technique to stick with, and the fish are still in the swim. I thought for sure I would have spoiled it, but they're still moving through, so they might not bite as often, but I only need one bite. There's a fish right there. Heavy on the lead, I guess. Make a note, only edit that bad cast out of post. set. And my unhooking net's wet, so what am I going to sit on? Fish are still there. They're all over us, man. Just need the big girl. I told you, as soon as I start playing Pokemon Go, a fish is going to take. It doesn't seem like a big fish now. There's another fish just swooped off beside it. A little bit smaller than the last one, actually. Again, they were sitting right here behind us too. That one took them out there. Short and fast. Come on. That's a football. Really short fish, but like that fish is even fatter than the last one. Maybe 2/3 of the length. Yeah, tactical change worked. What do you think? Another beat up old warrior. Looked exactly the same way on that same rig. Really coarse scale, beat up. Been through the wars. You know, the rocky chutes where some of the faster water is up there. You know, they're beating each other up through it. What a heavy fish. Very fat, thick across the back. Just a solid fish. And that was, what, 15 minutes apart, so definitely found the tactic that worked. I'm going to keep moving my bait around this little bay so that they don't attribute one spot to being the trap. And maybe we'll get lucky and get the big girl. The little one grabbed it while I was just twitching it. Jumped on that right away. Well, as much as I love catching fish, that one kind of spoiled something for me. hope she comes back. Literally right there. Big girl had come in with that one companion fish and was like under our noses, a rod length off those bushes. With my line out in the middle, I thought, okay, you know what? I'm gonna reel it in and I'm gonna drop it right in close, because I was pretty confident I can get it in quietly where she would see it and maybe take it. And just as I did 2 turns of the handle and just gave that bait a little bit of movement, this fish jumped on it, took off with the rod in my hand. So, well, we'll get a look at this fish, and I'm gonna get some more bait out, but I'm also gonna put some back here now that I know that she's been coming back here, and maybe we'll get another chance at her. Bad carp. Actually, it's a really nice looking fish. Small, but he's really nice looking. Stop it. So again, done something a little bit different. Instead of just putting out sweet corn, we're actually putting out some of the Monster Carp corn pellets. And it's definitely helped keep the fish in. Actually, you can see, yeah, this fish has been feeding on all the maize and stuff that we put out yesterday, so we're definitely on the right track with the corn pattern. But a very nice looking fish, very clean looking fish. Nowhere near as battered as the other 2. Very pretty fish, nice colors, nice little sheen to the side. Ooh, settle. So number 3. Totally ruined my chance of a big girl. Maybe she'll come back though. You know, they're staying in this bay now. This tactic is definitely working, so you know, eventually I'm going to catch all of them, and the only one left to bite is her. small ones just this side of where my hook was. So it's just starting to drag it again, and it was that movement again triggered a bite. Another beautiful looking fish, really nice. We're almost out of time. I don't think I'm going to get her today. There we go. Number 4 for today. Beautiful October carp. And again, you know, just trying to drag it away from the spot that I'm sitting in, knowing that there's a few small ones. There was a decent one there. It wasn't the big girl. She was closer to me, so I was slowly trying to inch it back towards me to get it into her feeding area. It was her and 2 other small ones, just stirring the bottom right up. I wanted to get it in close while they couldn't see the lead moving. And this one jumped on it. Another beautiful fish. But not the target. Thank you very much. Good scrap.